Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton, and I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. And these are Charter Moms Chats, and we've been going live to help families learn important information to keep their kids learning and safe during it's been some really interesting 17 months or so. And I keep thinking that things are going to go back to normal, and I've kind of given up. It's not going to ever be normal again. We're just going to like make the best of it. And that it's back to school time, and we've been checking in with schools and school networks that we respect because we want to hear what they're doing to get kids back in school, get kids back on campus, and but keeping kids as safe as possible. Because what we've learned is that while some families need the flexibility of remote education and online school, most kids are better off in school in person. So today we're talking to Idea Public Schools. And as you may not know, like they are all across the U.S. now. They all the way from El Paso to Tampa. They're going up to Cincinnati, Ohio. But here in San Antonio, since 2012, when Idea Carver opened up, they've been adding more and more campuses. Wait, I'm going to get this wrong. How many? Is it 32
We're at
schools
30
now? 30. Okay, so 32 next year. Okay, 30 campuses. Okay, which is it just blows my mind. But it's wonderful because they have so many like top-rated campuses. Like Idea Carver is one of the top high schools in Texas. So our guest today, we have Angie Arismendi, who I met at Idea Carver years ago, and she's the executive director of Idea Public Schools for the San Antonio region. So congratulations, Angie.
Thank you.
And then joining us today also is Carlos Benavides, and he is the regional vice president of operations for Idea Public Schools San Antonio, and he is a veteran of working at Idea in the Valley, which is the sort of the home region for Idea Public Schools. So he's bringing all that good operations knowledge from the Valley up here to San Antonio. So thank you, Carlos.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Okay, well, I wanted to just I want to mention in the description of the video, there's a link to a blog post that the team from Idea answered a whole bunch of questions about, what's happening with COVID safety and students' social emotional learning, just all kinds of topics. So I encourage everyone to click through and read the blog post. It's up to date as of today, but as Angie and I were talking before we went on air, it changes minute by minute as far as what the rules are about masks. What is the Texas Supreme Court saying? What is the district judge saying? What is the county saying? So all the schools are just trying their best. And as parents and teachers, like we're all just trying our best to keep our kids safe and stay on the right side of the law.
Yeah, thank you for naming that.
Yeah, thank you. So Angie, I wanted to ask you, so kind of thinking back about the past year and a half, like what have you all learned about having effective teaching and learning, the value of having kids back on campus? Like, what are some of the lessons learned from COVID school?
Yeah, great question. A few years ago when this pandemic started, we actually had the experience of shutting the schools doors and sending children home and finding ways for them to engage with learning opportunities. And while I was grateful for that, for us to still find ways to engage with kiddos, that was just really tough. It was tough on children. It was tough on the families. And I was so happy that last year we were able to engage with virtual learning and with all of the technology pieces that we were able to provide to all of the students, and the Wi-Fi or MiFi devices we were able to provide for them. They were able to engage in virtual learning and do the best they could. And while that was something that was really good at that moment in time, we know now that it's just it was the best we could offer at that moment in time. But now that we are in schools, this is exactly what children need. They need to be in the schools. Obviously, they need to be safe, right? But we know that the best learning opportunity for children is right there in the classroom with their teachers who can provide them any help or support they need to make sure that they are able to accomplish the tasks that they need to in the classrooms and learn what they need to. We also, it was a tough situation last year to be virtual. We had many families who made that choice to stay virtual. And then we had quite a few families who just said, you know what, I'm actually comfortable sending my children to school. And so I want to do so. And they were able to do that. And, it was an amazing year for Idea Public Schools San Antonio because we had our largest graduating class ever We had 4 graduating classes. We had our Idea Carver campus, Idea South Flores, Idea Walsham, and Idea Monterey Park. And we were just really, really excited that 263 of our scholars were able to graduate from high school. And already we've seen that 4 of our scholars have matriculated into college to OLLU from one of our schools. So we were really excited about that. We also know that, our Idea Carver campus has been a powerhouse for many years. We're just really excited that they were able to be the 38th best school in all of Texas, with the top 2% of high schools in Texas as well. And then the 4th best high school in San Antonio. But then when you look at the East Side region, they are the #1 performance in the entire East Side region. And so we're really happy that we can bring that opportunity for scholars who live on the East Side to have an amazing school experience, to be able to prove what children from all across the city can do when the adults in the system get it right.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, I mean, IDEA has opened the doors for so many kids to go to college, from neighborhoods where the rate of students going to college is typically very low. But it's proving that your zip code is not your destiny. That there's just a huge amount of untapped potential among these kids. They just need an environment where they're getting the support they need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna swap out Carlos on the big camera here. And so, Carlos, I wanted to ask you kind of an operations question, and kind of about COVID safety, which I mean, it's super complicated. And I encourage everyone to like go to the blog post, and you can click through. They can read what's on the IDEA website about all the COVID resources. There's lots of great stuff there. And as I mentioned when I was talking to Angie, it's a moving target that the rules keep changing. But I know that you guys have been very careful about learning what strategies work, and how do you keep kids learning safely together on campus? What are some of the high points of that?
$1 million question, Inga. Thank you for asking that. It's something that we perfect, and we try to improve every single day. Um, we continue to follow local, state guidelines, CDC as well. Self screenings have helped a lot. We've been very clear with our families that if you're feeling any sort of symptom, or anyone in your family has been um, diagnosed with a positive case, for you to stay home. Stay home, do not show up to school. Teachers are still doing their very best to connect with these families in quarantine or isolation, to be able to provide the missing instruction that they need to be provided because of their absence in school. We continue encouraging face mask, highly, highly recommended. I'm so happy to say that uh, I've been at the 20, 30 schools this past week, and I can see 1 to 2 students not wearing a mask. It's been such a positive reaction from our families and staff to be wearing masks 100% of the time. We continue applying social distancing when applicable. We do our very best to separate our students as much as possible. We are trying our best to not have them rotate as much as possible, so we can clearly identify if we have a positive case, to clearly identify the impacted students as well. And despite all these challenges, Inga, I'm happy to say that we are about to hit the 18,000 mark of student enrollment. 18,000 students have stepped foot into an IDEA campus this school year already, and we have a few more days to close the enrollment window. So very excited that despite all of this, our families continue to trust us to provide the best environment for our students.
Well, Carlos. That's great feedback. Yeah, it is a moving target. I think that's something that's come up a lot in the discussion group. So we have a Facebook group. Anyone who's watching who's not a member yet, please join SA Turner Moms discussion group. We had a lot of talk about masks. It's caused a lot of stress and anxiety for families. And families they're looking for, like, what are schools where it's part of the culture, like that, we're gonna wear masks to keep each other safe. And so I want everyone to know, like, at IDEA, there's a culture of everyone following the rules and wanting to keep each other safe. And so that's Yeah, and because at some schools, it's not being enforced, and it's not part of the culture. So that's a really important thing to share. So, the mandates, the laws may change, but that's just that culture of, like, we're all gonna do our best, and we're gonna take care of each other. That's really important.
Yes, I also forgot to mention that we even have masks on site to provide to our students and staff. And we encourage each other and hold each other accountable to keep our kids safe.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I'm gonna swap out for Angie again. I got an Angie question. And so this has to do with academics. And I know it's been your passion for a long time. So, I've looked at, like, this, STAR testing data, looking back at the, sort of the year of COVID, and it just seems like, some students, just didn't get as much of the, in classroom, like, effective learning that they needed. And so, like, some students are behind where they would have been, had they been able to have a more typical school experience last year. So and this is covered in the blog post as well, but I wanted to hear your perspective. Like, what are some of the strategies to try to accelerate learning? And I know one thing IDEA is very strong about is data, and, like, constantly assessing where are students at, who's making progress, who needs more help. But how are you going to address this in this coming school year, where thankfully kids are back on campus, but some of them are coming in behind, or there's a bigger spread in the classroom of where students are at?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really, really fortunate that our academic services team, had the foresight last year to think through, hey, hopefully we can get kiddos back in the building, and then what will we do with them to make sure that they catch up and catch some of that information they might have missed last year. So we have a robust plan for acceleration for kiddos. I mean, if you were a third grader in second grade, you were supposed to learn X, Y, and Z. What we have created is a learning plan throughout the year that captures the biggest priority objectives and skill sets that children in second grade had to learn. And they will be plugged in throughout the learning opportunities for them while they're in third grade. That is the thing that we have committed to doing. Our academic services team created an entire program for us. Our regional, national team, our teachers, all of our staff are being trained on what that looks like, and how to effectively implement that into the classrooms, and how those objectives tie in to make sure that children can accelerate. What we never want children to feel is that they are not able to catch up because they didn't learn something the year before. Just like any year, if we have a child who has a gap in learning, then it's our job and our responsibility to find out, to diagnose what is it, and then figure out, like, what's the plan to address that. Right now, though, it's just a lot easier because our academic services team has already created that plan for us, and teachers don't have to do that on their own. We've already created the training wheel that will help support teachers, because they have to then analyze how each child does on the accelerated learning plan to make sure all children can learn.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful, because, like, I think sometimes schools, well, you don't want them. I know it's been a tough. Last year was really tough for teachers. I'm sure this year is tough as well. It's a lot of absences, and but I want it's important for every teacher to feel a responsibility for every student to help them get where they need to go. But they need the tools, they need the data, to be able to do it. And it sounds like IDEA is providing the support, to make sure that those key concepts come through. And especially, I know for me last year, I was very concerned about my son taking Algebra 1, because it was, remote education was not as effective. But that's such a foundational, math level, so that he can go on to do high school math. And we're still kind of working with a tutor to catch up, and, like, what were the things in Algebra 1 that he missed. And I think it's so important that you guys are being proactive about making sure that those concepts get picked up, this year, even if they might not have gotten what they needed last year. Okay, so
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I have a math background, so I'd be happy to support tutoring if you need to. Math is something that I'm really passionate about, and being a teacher myself, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, good. Yeah, I might need to pick your brain on some. What are how do we fill in some of these things, right? Like, it's even things like axes, like, just keeping that straight, sometimes you can work through the problems, but you kind of miss like like kind of the big picture questions. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
well, actually, Carlos, I had a question for you about like parent communication. And one thing I've noticed is that like I see a lot of like I see blog posts, I see social media where like idea is being very deliberate and like campus by campus, um, keeping parents updated about what's happening with um, mask mandates or like what are procedures and when should you keep your kid home and things like the meal program and just all kinds of stuff. So I wonder if you could talk about parent communication and like how that's important for keeping kids safe and also for communicating about the sort of learning acceleration like Angie was talking about.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to parent communication, that is the key to success for student safety, and not only that, academic success. I think that when there is strong communication between a school and the parent, it automatically creates a team dynamic. It's going to be able to fully support that student in both health and academic success. So we have different ways or means of communicating with our families. We have Microsoft Teams is a big platform that we use. We also have Remind. This allows parents and students and teachers to communicate safely through this platform. We also have social media where we post a lot of our things that are happening in school. We try to leave social media for like fun postings and events, given that that is not our official means of communication. And then we also have things, weekly letters, like such as a parent weekly that goes out every week with important information to our families. I think that in addition to that, we're always willing to hear from our parents anything that's concerning to them, right? All parents should feel safe coming to IDEA and just even request a meeting. These are the concerns that I have, and we'll be happy to write them down and perhaps come up with solutions if there's something that we haven't been thinking of. So, again, I cannot stress the importance of parent communication between a school, so that between school and them, so that we can go ahead and improve our student safety and academic success.
Yeah, yeah. Because when the school and the family and the student are on the same page, then that creates the most progress for learning, right? And it keeps all the students safer.
Alignment, correct.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now I have an Angie question. Um, I wanted to ask about social emotional learning and mental health of students. So, like, as I was researching this, I found things like that y'all have been hiring more counselors for schools, and that there's a social emotional learning curriculum that y'all use. So, I mean, it's been a really stressful time, and I'm sure students are feeling it too. So, like, we need to get them in the right frame of mind so they can learn. So, I wonder if you could, share more about, what those tools and supports are, and what steps y'all are taking to support the students' well-being.
Absolutely. This year has been a trying year emotionally on many people under 18 and over 18. And the experiences that folks are having are traumatic. Many of our team members in IDEA Public Schools have lost a loved one. Many of our children have lost a loved one or been impacted by the loss of life in some component of their family network. And so because of that, we know more than ever as an organization, we needed to prioritize ensuring that we work to get some more counselors on our sites who could provide social and emotional counseling for students. And then obviously, if there's a need for the broader family, that there are some community resources that we encourage our families to engage with that can support the entire family. But what's really important is that while children are in school, that we're able to teach them lessons, social and emotional lessons. We actually use a program called Move This World. And this program has daily lessons for kiddos to be engaged in. Sometimes there's a quick video and then it's a quick little discussion with our teachers that help students to understand that the emotions that they are experiencing, help them understand those, and then the ways to respond as a result of how they feel. Even adults, we don't always know the best way to share how we're feeling or what we're thinking. We just know that we want somebody to know how we're feeling. And so we're really actively trying to teach that to children. That's what's really important right now. And then obviously, there are quite a few families, that are experiencing food insecurities, homelessness, or about to become homeless, with many people facing eviction. And so we're trying our best to find the ways in the community to support them so that our children can come to school and learn. The adults, we've got to find the ways to help our communities and set our children up for success so that they can learn, because without those things being taken care of, then our children are not likely to learn everything they could. It's a really, meeting those basic needs is most important for us. That goes with student safety, right? And then we can teach them, then we can educate them, then we can put them on the path to college. But number one, we've got to provide that social and emotional support.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear that that's such a high priority at IDEA, and you guys have tools in place. And I know the curriculum, it was already part of the program. It's just that you guys are needed even more than ever um, these days. So, okay, so I made all of our heads equal size because I go and ask both of you guys. But I wanted to talk about like the growth. Like, so there's been good news this year of IDEA Amber Creek opening. So that's the newest campus, and so you could each, both kind of comment on like, what you're excited about it, and like what families should know.
Well, the first thing that I'm super excited about was all the amount of students coming in and the parents dropping off their scholars for the first time at IDEA Amber Creek. This is the first group of students that will be graduating from this school in the coming years. And not only that, some of the successes that we had, our pre-K4 classes, 100% showed up, registered. These are the 4-year-olds that, despite the pandemic challenges, parents were able to trust us and drop their kids at the school at IDEA Amber Creek the first day of school. Additionally, from our middle school class, out of the students that we registered, 95% showed up. This is truly impressive. To number one, this being a new school in the area, and two, a lot of new families that have yet to experience the IDEA academic model.
Yeah. Wow. I think those are signs that the community is showing a vote of confidence in IDEA Amber Creek. So, and it's located on the far west side, right?
Yes, exact address to be exact. We are located at 10170 Crewald Road. The campus right now is currently serving grades pre-K, kinder, first, and sixth grade. And we still have a couple of spots left. We haven't closed our enrollment window. So if you know of anybody who still is willing or needs to enroll, either a student in any of these grade levels here on the screen, by all means, feel free to go to our website and apply there, or call the school so that we can guide you through the process.
Okay. Well, that's great. I want to. So on the SH Turbo's blog, we have we call like our enrollment guide blog post, including a detailed post about IDEA Public Schools. So if you visit shturboms.com, search IDEA Public Schools, that'll pop up, and it's got links and addresses for like all the different IDEA campuses. And it's just amazing. I've seen it grow from one campus to all this, and it's just remarkable. So I guess so. Angie, can you tell more about like what families should do to learn more? I know. Let's see. Carlos mentioned going to the website, so ideapublicschools.org/apply, and there's lots of information about the IDEA curriculum and school culture and things like that. But what is your recommendation to families?
Hopefully our families are excited about the potential to join our wonderful schools. We've got them all across San Antonio, the northeast, the south, the west, and in the central part of San Antonio as well. But hopefully our families would want to join us. And if so, please join ideapublicschools.org/apply. we've got spots. They're limited spots, but they're all across our region. And so we encourage you to apply for a seat to our schools. Um, One thing to note is not every school has pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Some schools do not offer pre-K, and not all schools are full scale, meaning not all schools have every single grade level, kinder, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Maybe they have kinder, first, and second, and sixth, seventh, and eighth. So just please, families, keep that in mind as you work to find the closest Idea Public Schools to you. And maybe you don't have an Idea Public Schools that's in your neighborhood, but you might pass an Idea Public Schools campus on your way to work, or your friend might pass Idea Public Schools on the way to work. So I would encourage you to see if your friend would want to have their children join. Our mission is to send 100% of students to college. For many years, we've been doing that. For the last 3 years in San Antonio, the last 2 years we've done that. This has been our third graduating class. We are confident that we'll be able to get all of our students into college, which is what our mission is. But remember, it doesn't end there. We still stay in contact with our students who have graduated from our schools to help them and support them through this really big accomplishment, which is engaging in higher education and then making it through.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's what I've had the privilege of. We've had Idea alumni help out at SC Charter Moms events, and they're just wonderful people. I mean, they speak so highly about their experience as students, and they really appreciate the mission of improving the quality of education. So that kids have brighter futures, and so that we lift up the quality, create more opportunities in our community, so that we can have great jobs in San Antonio. So industries will come to San Antonio that might have overlooked us in the past, because I think that's the message, is like that there's so much potential, and with the right leadership and the right what's happening with teachers in the classrooms and the support from the families, that these students can do really amazing things. Okay, well, this has been just a wonderful conversation. I'm so grateful for your time and for the team that helped put together the blog post. And back to school, this is a challenging season because things keep changing all the time. But I know that everyone at the Idea Public Schools team and family is doing their best to keep students safe and help accelerate learning for them.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Inga, for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.